So I will be making references to the first semester, and most of the students, your friends in the class, they will know to which readings or which dates, which topics we discussed with them. But I am not saying that it is impossible for you. You can do it with a little bit more work. So that's okay. Then next year you will take the first semester. But if you are successful in the second semester, you will be more successful in the first semester because you know the end of the novel. So it is like starting to read the novel from the middle, which I like. If you like a novel, reading a novel from the middle, taking the second semester of the course is okay. Now, how is this description? Actually, this depends, what I said, depends on a theory in sociology, which we will discuss, if I am still here, second semester. Now, Gilles Deleuze and Guattari talk about a rhizomorphic model of history or social sciences and tree-like model. Now, we usually know tree-like model, you know. There is knowledge, and then within the knowledge, there are different common sense knowledge, ideological knowledge, scientific knowledge, religious knowledge. And then scientific knowledge is divided into natural sciences and social sciences. So there is a trunk, there are roots, and then there is a trunk, and then there are branches. And then in social sciences, there is anthropology, sociology, psychology, economics, etc., etc. In natural sciences, and there are branches. But according to Deleuze and Guattari, if we have not a tree-like model, but a rhizome-like, rhizome, you have to remember from your biology, lycée biology course, rhizome, for example, potatoes are rhizomes, you know, instead of their fruits are underground, or other rhizomatic type of plants. They are as roots. There are roots, and they form a network of roots. So wherever you start, you can continue from there. There is no beginning and no end. So usually in rhizome type of approach in social sciences, in philosophy, you can start from the middle. Whereas in tree type of model, you have to start from the beginning, from the origins, from the roots, from the trunk, and then from the branches, etc., etc. So you see, Alanur, you provoked me to talk about a philosophical, sociological theory that I will be teaching to you next semester, the first semester of the fourth year, of your fourth year. Is that okay with you? It seems it's okay. So it's fine with me. I will not object, let me say. Okay, now, this semester, we will continue. So this is, again, you will be, continue what? We will continue what we started last semester. That is, last semester, we mainly focused on Ottoman Empire's transformation, peripheralization, how the classical Ottoman state and social structure being decentralized first during 16th and 17th centuries up to 18, and starting from the second half of 18th century, and especially during 19th century and the first 20 years of 20th century, how it became peripheralized, how it became from, it is removed from the center, a central empire in the time of Süleyman the Magnificent, Süleyman the lawmaker, 16th century, how it became a peripheral country of expanding capitalist European, Western European countries. We have seen that. And then the First World War, and then we focused on War of Independence, Atatürk's leadership, establishment of the Republic, and transition to a new type of society. So it is actually the history of modernization, history of emergence of modern social structure, social structural institutions, modern state, modern educational system, contemporary villages, cities, all of these, we discussed how they are continuations of the Ottoman social structure and institutions, and where there are breaks, continuities and breaks. This was one of the questions in the midterm, continuities and breaks, as being discussed by Çağlar Keyder, Sherif Mardin, Michael Meeker, and many others, Halil İnalcık, you will remember perhaps others, there were so many others that we discussed. Okay, now, this year we will start from 1940s, 1950s, up to present, hopefully. I will bring you to the present social structure that we are living within, present institutions within which we are living our lives. Okay. Now today I will make an introduction, really. I am not going to seriously lecture, choosing one topic, but I am going to tell you that this semester you will be more active. You will make presentations. Now, I am thinking of 2 presentations during the term. One is, now, this is your first assignment. You will choose a novel on Turkish life, a Turkish novel, hopefully translated into English, so you will have an English version of it. But it is not necessary. You can also choose a novel which is not yet being translated into English. But there are many Turkish novels which are translated into English. Or you will choose a novel or a film, again, about Turkish urban life, rural life, marriage life, all aspects of social life in Turkey. There are so many films, Turkish films. I don't know whether I gave this. No, I usually give this example in the theory course. For example, I use Neşeli Günler, where Adile Naşit and others are there, wife and husband separate, and they fight about whether turşu, either cucumber or cabbage, made from cabbage or cucumber. But what kind of, whether while making it lemon juice is used or whether vinegar is used, as you know, it is classical Turkish film or other films, the films by where famous actors and actresses act. So a novel or a film, and you will write 2-3 page description of it, plot of it, and a sociological analysis. What aspect of social life this novel or this film takes up, and you will tell it to your friends, and then you will submit your paper, that small, no more than 5-page paper, into the place where you will do as you did submit your midterm exams and final exams last semester. Now the second presentation will be, I will assign you an article on Turkish social structure. I counted, I have something like 350, if I can find it, let me, just a minute, let me find this, just a minute. Now here, okay. Now, let me show this to you. There are, as I said, 350 articles and books that I uploaded during last few years, and I will select few of them and assign them to you, and you will read them, and again you will write a brief summary, 2-3 page summary, no more than 5 pages, and you will present it to your friends, and you will submit it. Now let me show you this list. How long is that list? And let me remember how, okay, I go here and do this and share my screen. I hope, what happened? Share my screen. It didn't come. I will do it again. Here it is. Now this way. I will go here, and then I will go where? I will pick this up. Where is it? It is here, but now let me see. Only this way. How I will do it? I will do it one way or the other, but at the moment I couldn't do it, you see. I will share actually something from my list of where I upload or save or archive, my archive actually. But how do I bring it here? I don't know. Maybe if I uygulama or ekran. So here is, maybe I will do it this way. Just a minute. No, this is already there, and if I share this one, pencere, no, and this one, no. That is really interesting. Although I thought I could do it, I couldn't do it. You see, this was, as I said, a list of articles, which is in my list of lists of list of courses and other material I put there, but somehow I couldn't manage it. I will not do it. Okay, no. I will continue with what I can share. Now, I will share one novel as an example. Now, this is Orhan Pamuk's book, A Strangeness in My Mind. A Strangeness in My Mind. Okay, now I will bring it from here. Let me see. Strangers in My Mind. I think this is the one. Okay, let me see. Okay, it came here. Let me see whether you see it. You see it, yes. Okay, here it is. Maybe here I can make it larger. Yes, here it is. Now, let me go to the original. Here, actually, here is the, no, where is the beginning? Here is the beginning. You see, A Strangeness in My Mind. Now, this is about a village boy from central Anatolia, who comes to Istanbul as a 12-year-old boy. And then he eventually finishes elementary school. Actually, somewhere here, there's a chapter on, now, for example, there are parts. Part one of the novel is a day. Mevlüt and Raiha. Elopement of a girl from the village. Raiha, Orhan Pamuk describes in this part that event. And then this is 1982. And then he goes to 1994, that is the second part, where he talks about, this is Mevlüt Karataş, a boza seller in the streets of Istanbul, how he goes around in the neighborhoods and in the streets. And then in the third part, again, he goes back to the village, and now the period he takes up is between 1968 and 1982. Now, these are the years that your parents were born, most likely, or were growing up. So, Mevlüt in the village, Mevlüt's home, the hills, and then enterprising individual who builds a house, his father, and then let's go to the next page. And let's see. Mevlüt begins to work as a street vendor. Sokak satıcısı. Sokak satıcısı. And he's educated in Atatürk's boys' secondary school, and then middle school, and there are again now starts the 1960s and 70s of Turkey. Some politics start emerging, and then the Egecekondu neighborhood, Duttepe, where actually his father builds their gecekondu. And then it continues between, and there is, again, this is 1970s, the second half of 1970s, it became more and more acute, actually, the struggle between two youth groups, the revolutionary youth group and idealistic youth group. One group was in Duttepe, the other was in Kültepe, and how the two, on the two hills of Istanbul, how the two fight with each other. I mean, with pamphlets, with slogans, with shoutings, sometimes physical violence. Now, this is indeed, you know, a sociologist on the basis of a field work can describe this type of two neighborhoods and the youths of the two neighborhoods, how they interact with each other, how they fight with each other, really. And then he goes into details of Mevlüt's life, how he marries this village, from the girl from the village, and then how falls in love, actually writes a letter to the younger girl, but he elopes the older girl, but his friend tricks him to do this because his friend wants the younger girl, etc. You know, these are intricacies that happens, and Orhan Pamuk goes into detail. And again, they go about this Duttepe, Gültepe, the war between Duttepe and Gültepe, how to write a love letter, Mevlüt's army days, and then 1980 military coup, 1980 military coup. And now we come to the fourth section between 82 and 94. Yeah? That was the beginning, actually, first part. Now he goes back again to Mevlüt and Raiha's marriage, and then how Mevlüt starts as a street vendor by selling ice cream, and then how rice with chickpeas, pirinç ve nohut, how it's mixed into boza. Food tastes better when it has got some dirt in it. Food tastes better when it has got some dirt in it. Mevlüt becomes a father. So Semiha, the younger sister of Raiha, runs away. And then a sociological chapter in this fourth part, capitalism and tradition. Mevlüt's blissful family life, sociology of family, sociology of the relationship between capitalism and tradition. And then Gazi neighborhood, getting rid of city dust, Tarlabaşı. You know, these are chapter titles, Tarlabaşı. And then we come to the next part, which is part 5, between 1994 and 2002. Brothers-in-law in the Boza shop, and then in the little shop with two women, Ferhat's electric, etc. You know, these are, Mevlüt becomes a parking lot guard, so he's not always a street vendor. Actually, Orhan Pamuk is trying to tell a story of while in old Istanbul there were Boza street vendors, shouting during the night, Boza, Boza, and then how gradually they are being transformed, or Boza or yurt sellers, yurt, and then how they become bottled, and then how they put into plastic plates or boxes, plastic boxes, and they are being sold now from all neighborhoods. The yogurt or boza is not anymore sold by street vendors like Mevlut. This is the story actually. It is the story of Mevlut Karataş, his father, his friends, yes, but also it's a story of Istanbul's transformation. And then part 4 is in 15 April 2009. Okay, now you are already, you are born and you are 10 years old. The 12-story building, you have a right to city's rent. I can't, this is in 2009, city right. Who can have a city rent, or who can build shanty towns, whose shanty town is destroyed, etc., etc. These are all sociological. And the last part is part 7, 2012, 25 October 2012, to form the form of a city. I can only mediate when I am walking. I can only mediate when I am. You see, these are chapters, I read this a few years ago. It's a long novel, but really it's a social history. So let me send this away. How do I do that? I go here and then I send this away. Now there are reviews of this novel. For example, let me share this one. A second. Let me share this one again. Let me go to this place and here, and let me. Istanbul is the central character. Central character. Here it is, for example, this Barbara Liss. Barbara Liss is reviewing in the same year that the book is published and translated into English. Istanbul is a central character in Orhan Pamuk's A Strangeness in My Mind. Actually, the Strangeness in my mind is a borrowing. Now, do you see this? Do you see? This is the title. At the title page of the novel is this picture here. This man, a street vendor. This is a yogurt seller, and there is yogurt on two sides. But A Strangeness in My Mind is borrowed by Orhan Pamuk from a British poet, William Wordsworth. Now this Barbara Liss is talking about that. When William Wordsworth is talking about his Cambridge years, he went to this famous university, this poet, when he was young, and there it meant feeling out of place in Cambridge, out of place. There's a strangeness in my mind. I am out of place in this university. Wordsworth, one of the famous poets of England, when he was a boy or a youth in Cambridge, he felt like that. Now, similarly, Mevlut, a village boy, when he came to Istanbul, also felt strange. In his mind, there is some, now it says, like William Woodward's, no matter what I do, I feel completely alone in this world. And the poet tells this. And that is exactly what Mevlüt Karataş, going around the streets of Istanbul, selling boza, is also feels strange, alone. So here she talks about all this. I will not go into it. You can find it. I will share it too. But now let me send it away. And perhaps I can share one more. What should I share? Let me share this one, where they talk with him, an interview with him. Again, let me go to screen sharing, and let me put this, and this one maybe, yes. Okay, interview, one of the interviews. Let me go, okay. Now this is Alain Elkan interviews, and this is the one with Orhan Pamuk. It is in June 2021. Novelist, recipient of Nobel Prize in 2006. So you just published Veba Geceleri. This is a recent one. This pandemic, the COVID-19 pandemic, and he wrote about Nights of Plague, Veba Geceleri, Nights of Plague. Novel during COVID. And it's a coincidence. I never anticipated. Now, Orhan Pamuk is talking, or predicted what was coming. There are scenes of plague in White Castle in his earlier Beyaz Kale, earlier novel, which takes place in 17th century Istanbul. Almost 40 years ago, in 1983, I wrote Silent House, Sessiz Ev, in which a historian researched a plague pandemic in Istanbul. Right after I finished my previous novel, The Red-Haired Woman, Kırmızı Saçlı Kadın, another novel, I said to myself that even if my plague historical novel is a big project, I should write it. When I began 4.5 years ago, my friend asked me why I was writing a novel about an obscure project, a pandemic. They thought that nobody would understand my book, and that plague was gone and humanity had left these ugly things behind. But as you know, 100 years ago, there was in 1918, around 1918 and 1921, for 3 years, influenza plague, influenza pandemic, and now COVID-19 pandemic, you see. But now Orhan Pamuk is saying that he started working on it. COVID started in 2019, and he says he started, now this is in 1921 interview, 4 years ago. So he started writing it in 2017, 2018. But unexpectedly or expectedly, the COVID-19 became a pandemic, the whole world. And writing that novel without the plague itself or the pandemic itself came. So you see, if you choose one novelist and focus about one novel, like here, I focused on Strangers in My Mind, which is really Istanbul's transformation, and a character, one migrant, a boza seller, a yurt street vendor. You can do similarly. That is that's my purpose. Right? You can do this similarly. Okay, now before I end this introductory, let me send this away first, and then let me come face to face with you. Sometimes, as you know, I forget what I share on my screen. So at those moments, you have to warn me, teacher, you finished using that material on the screen. Now send it away and let's talk face to face. Talking face to face is what we want actually, but sharing material is also what we want. So we do both. Okay, that's good. Now I will go now to two videos that I would like you to listen. Now, one is again by Orhan Pamuk. Let me show that first. Let me again share my screen this way, here, and go here, and go here. Okay, now this is the first week course outline page. Course outline page, and then at the there are books that we used last semester, but we are continuing to use those books. There is a list here. You will see the list of the books that we used last semester, and we will continue to use this semester, and new ones, especially lists of articles will be added this semester. Now I will come back to Nilüfer Göl'e, but first let me show you an interview or a talk about the strangeness of my mind, where Orhan Pamuk himself, or together with a professor, a Turkish professor in Duke in America, one of the famous universities in America, talks about Pamuk's books, and then he calls him, and then Pamuk starts talking about the strangeness of my mind. Let me just start, and then you will listen to the rest.
Let's call them little micro history.
The protagonist happens to be carrying a quince grinder, which soldiers mistake for a weapon. The grinder negotiates, as it were, between private everyday family routine and the public military power of the state. In any case, Pamuk continues, if you put the museum objects in order, they tell a larger story, one which constitutes the novel. The refusal to remain within one literary genre or cultural idiom has marked Pamuk's 9 novels. His work brings together narrative strains such as Ottoman Turkish history, the confines of identity, doubleness, excavations of the city, conspiracy, Islamic art, Sufism, the power of the Middle Eastern nation state, the coup, obsession, mystical love, the archive, collecting, lament, and the Istanbul melancholy known as hüzün. All of these strange...
You see the list of topics that Pamuk covers. Really, yeah? You see that list? Last one is not translatable to English. Hüzün, hüzün, hüzün, hüzün. The word hüzün, you know, a kind of sadness, but it is not sadness. There's a kind of, you know, hüzünlendim ben bugün. When you say, I am hüzün in hüzün today, you know, you cannot translate it into English. But there are others that he listed actually. Let me just take it a minute earlier. Okay, now
The grinder negotiates, as it were, between private everyday family routine and the public military power of the state.
Right.
In
Everyday
any
life
case,
and
Pamuk
state.
continues, if you put the museum objects in order, they tell a larger story, one which constitutes the novel.
Yeah.
The refusal to remain within one literary genre or cultural idiom has marked Pamuk's 9 novels. His work brings together narrative strains such as Ottoman Turkish history, the confines of identity, doubleness.
You see, identity, doubleness, being two at the same, or two faces, excavations of the city, conspiracy, and there are conspiracy novels, conspiracy theories, Islamic art, Sufism. You know, in some of his novels, there is a talk about Sufism or Islamic art. For example, My Name is Red. My Name is Red is about Islamic art or art in Istanbul during 16th, 17th century. Now, if
Excavations of the city, conspiracy, Islamic art, Sufism, the power of the Middle Eastern nation state.
You see, it continues, the power of the Middle Eastern nation state. The power, the strength, the centralness of Middle Eastern states, nation states, the coup, military coup, obsession, a mystical love, the archive, collecting, lamenting, and these are topics, he says, in Pamuk's 9 novels.
The
He's
coup,
making an analysis.
obsession, mystical love, the archive, collecting, lament, and the Istanbul melancholy known as hüzün. All of these strains are orchestrated through the city of Istanbul, Pamuk explains, a space that has become the memory of his fiction. It is perhaps not surprising that for someone who has a great love for walking through the deserted city streets at night, that the ideal protagonist would be one who does the same. A street vendor, a seller of boza. In A Strangeness in My Mind, Pamuk's version of the flaneur is an Anatolian migrant to the city.
Oh, just a minute. Flaneur. And again, next semester, we will be talking about Benjamin's concepts, Walter Benjamin, and his concept of flaneur, you know, with modernity, how the city is being transformed and residents of the cities are being transformed, and a new social type, flaneur, a wanderer in the streets of the cities emerge, flaneur. Of course, Mevlüt Karataş is not a flaneur in that sense. No, he is not wandering in the streets of Istanbul leisurely, whereas a flaneur, that is what a flaneur does. Mevlüt, it's a job for him. He earns his bread, his family's bread, by wandering in the streets of Istanbul. And flaneur.
Whose strangeness is the alienation and displacement of a rural migrant who enters.
You see, it is sociological alienation and displacement of a rural migrant who enters the city for the first time. That strangeness.
the city for the first time. The strangeness of being in a scene, yet seeing oneself from the outside. An uncanny narrative double vision in which the familiar is defamiliarized and made new.
This is also true. The familiar is defamiliarized. Now, again, in the second year, when you were studying Foucault, for example, or Bourdieu, Bourdieu also defines sociology as making familiar strange, making familiar alienated or foreign, and making foreign exotic familiar. And the two opposite movements. What are the two opposite movements? Making familiar strange, exotic, aşina olanı yabancılaştırmak. And making what is exotic, foreign, unknown, familiar. Bilinmeyeni, yabancı olanı aşina hale getirmek, bilinir hale getirmek. Aşina olanı yabancılaştırmak, ötekileştirmek. Her gün, the things that you are familiar every day is suddenly from a new light. It is not defamiliarized. It is strange. As a matter of fact, you know, you can see, especially for your generation, of course, Mevlüt's story is very strange. It's a story in the past. Anyway, you are sociologists, so you are ready to study these. So let me again go now. Let me finish with a sociologist talking. Actually, I put this picture last semester too, but we listened to her. Maybe you did. Some of you did, maybe. Nilüfer Göle is a sociologist from Middle East Technical University. She was my student when she was third and fourth year sociology student. And then she went to France. She had her PhD. She came to Bozaman University, but also she was in a university in France. So double university, kind of. And after this event, bombing of the double İkiz Kuleler in New York and White House, although it's not being bombed with the planes. Remember 9/11 event? She's talking about how in Europe especially, Islam and modernity are interpenetrating each other, how they live, they coexist. So let me show that too.
Welcome to the web series Exploring 9/11, The World Before and After, a production of the National September 11th Memorial and Museum. I'm Clifford Channon, Senior Program Advisor at the museum. My guest today is Nilüfer Göle, a professor of sociology and director of studies at the Graduate School of Social Sciences in Paris. She is also a Turkish sociologist with a long history of research in Turkey and the Middle East, issues of modernization, women and veiling, and how modernity and tradition interact in Turkey and other countries of the Middle East and now in Europe. Nilüfer, welcome. This question of Turkey as kind of the centerpiece for debates about Muslim traditions, how they've been transformed, how the modern world looks in an Islamic context. All of this has been central to Turkey's 20th century history, and I think it's one of the reasons that so many people are looking to Turkey as a modern example of how you take these tensions between the past and the future and make them work.
Yes, indeed, Turkey is an interesting case, which the meaning of which goes beyond the Turkish nation-state experience. I would say it has an impact on different countries. First, on Muslim countries, and also today in relation to Europe. I think how Europe is going to come to terms, or how it will define its future in relation to Muslim minority migrant issue, or as a European candidate, as a Turkey is a European a member for, I mean, a candidate for European Union. So I think we have to maybe also keep in mind today that Turkey is, as a Muslim majority country, only country as a candidate to European Union. That had a long history because of the modernization attempts in Turkey, and which was maybe understood best by Atatürk, the founder of the Turkish Republic in 1923. We often speak about Kemalist reforms. I will come to that, or Atatürk reforms more precisely.
Let me ask you to pause right there, though, because to take it back to the beginning of this question of modern.
Okay, you will listen to this. Let me not go into it. We actually we covered this this material, Ottoman Kemalist era, establishment of the Republic. There's a longer version of this. I can also share that by Nilüfer Göle. So this semester, as I said, through books, articles, films, novels, we will explore Turkish modernization, how society and state interacted on a space and time, in terms of time and space, and how there has been various transition points along this time space, how there have been crises, how there has been change or continuity, reproduction or transformation, or both. While there is transformation, there is also some reproduction, or while there is reproduction, suddenly emerges a transformatory event, and from reproduction emerges transformation of the structures, etc. So for 14 weeks, okay, the first week is this one, introduction. There are 13 weeks left. We will discuss all these. So next week, we will be exploring these continuities and breaks in the Republican period. Okay, now I will stop here, and I will see whether you have any questions. If not, let me just